Indian Wells continues on Saturday with semifinal action involving Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, Alexander Zverev, and Daniil Medvedev. Indian Wells on Saturday, as the tournament nears its conclusion. Carlos Alcaraz will be looking to continue his flawless start to the season when he takes on a resurgent Daniil Medvedev in the semifinals. Alcaraz has already won the Australian Open and Doha Open titles this year, while Medvedev has titles in Brisbane and Dubai. The Russian has not beaten his Spanish opponent since the 2023 US Open, but will have rarely come into this match with so much confidence. The winner of that match will play either world number 2 Jannik Sinner or Alexander Zverev in Sunday's final. Sinner has looked impressive in California so far and has won his last 5 meetings with the German. Overnight, reigning Women's Australian Open champion Elena Rybakina beat Elena Svitolina to set up a final against world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka. That meeting will be a rematch of January's Aussie Open final, which Rybakina won in 3 sets. Tennis icon Eugenie Bouchard has landed a broadcasting role following her retirement from the sport last year. The 32-year-old hung up her racket in July 2025 after choosing to bow out at the National Bank Open in her hometown of Montreal. The Canadian ace rose to fame during her incredible breakout year in 2014. She finished runner-up at Wimbledon, becoming the first player to represent the country in a Grand Slam final, and also reached the semi-finals of the Australian Open and French Open. Bouchard peaked at number 5 in the world rankings, but subsequently struggled to replicate her early success, consistently hampered by injuries. Several months after her retirement, Bouchard has returned to tennis, having started a new job as an analyst. The Miami Open is just around the corner. As is sometimes the case, the women's tournament will start a day earlier than the men's. Therefore, the women's qualifying round will begin tomorrow, while the men's will start on Monday. The women's main draw will kick off on Tuesday, March 17th, with the men's starting on Wednesday, March 18th. Tim Henman believes Jack Draper will continue to go from strength to strength after his run at Indian Wells. Speaking to Sky Sports, he said, "Emotionally and physically it was a quick turnaround from his win against Djokovic. Jack has not played a great deal of tennis. It's only his 2nd tournament back and his 7th match back, and he's had a great tournament. To get these 3 wins under his belt, there's so many things to be positive about, and it looks like he's held up physically from his troublesome arm, which has been the problem. He can hopefully build in Miami now." Raducanu adds tournament to schedule. Emma Raducanu has added another tournament to her schedule as she looks ahead to the clay swing, her weakest surface. The British number 1 has signed up for the WTA 500 event in Linz, which takes place from April 6th to 12th. However, she has now effectively ruled herself out of Britain's Billie Jean King Cup qualifier tie against Australia, which takes place that week. The Upper Austria Ladies Linz has typically been staged on hard courts, but will switch to an indoor clay event this year. Raducanu is one of 4 former Grand Slam champions in the field, alongside Yelena Ostapenko, Barbara Krejcikova, and Marketa Vondrousova. Alcaraz makes Nori admission. Carlos Alcaraz has admitted he struggles with the style of Cameron Nori after beating the Briton in the Indian Wells semifinal on Thursday. The world number 1 advanced with a 6-3, 6-4 victory at the BNP Paribas Open. "I struggle a lot with his style," he said on court. "Every time I play against him, it's always really tough for me. It's a little bit confusing with his style, his heavy, topspin forehand, super high, and then the backhand, really flat and really low. Sometimes it's tricky to play against him. I'm finding the right shot. I played well. I played solid. I played aggressive when I could. I'm happy to play this level." Alcaraz will play Daniil Medvedev in the semifinals on Saturday. Medvedev on Alcaraz. Daniil Medvedev has raised an optimistic tone ahead of his semifinal clash against Carlos Alcaraz. "If it's Carlos, I feel like I'm playing great, very good tennis," Medvedev said before the Spaniard completed his quarterfinal victory over Cameron Nori. "I never want to jump into conclusions and say it's the best tennis of my life, or whatever. I'm playing very good. I feel like the court is a bit faster since the 2 times I have played him, so I feel like it's a good chance to show my best tennis against him. But he's the toughest opponent we have right now. Him and Jannik. Maybe debatable as to who is the toughest." Jack Draper has admitted that he wasn't in the right emotional space to beat Daniil Medvedev at the Indian Wells Masters. The young Brit, who defeated Novak Djokovic in the previous round, was dumped out by Medvedev in the quarterfinals in the early hours of Friday morning. It was a one-sided affair, with Draper winning just one game in the opening set before losing in straight sets. Medvedev ultimately secured a 6-1, 7-5 victory and will face Carlos Alcaraz in the semifinals over the weekend. Speaking to Sky Sports following the match, Draper suggested that he was still recovering from his hard-fought win over Djokovic and wasn't in the right frame of mind to produce a similar display against Medvedev.